Welcome to the deep dive.
We're exploring insights from Horse and Chariot, which it's this great source blending old Christian wisdom with some very practical stuff for, today. Today, we are grabbing the reins to unpack a concept the source material calls the protector of purity and custodian of balance. We're talking about the virtue of temperance.
We are, and this is a big one. It's the last of the four cardinal virtues, right after prudence, justice, and fortitude. At its core, it's really about self-mastery.
Self-mastery.
Yeah, the habit of, rightly ordering your desires and your pleasures. The sources suggest you need that wisdom from prudence and strength from fortitude before you can really tackle your own appetites.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So let's get into the central image here, the one from the source material that really clicked for me, the charioteer analogy.
Right, the perfect visual. Temperance is the charioteer holding the reins in this perfect tension.
And if the reins are too loose, that's excess. The horses just run wild.
Exactly. But if they're pulled too tight, that's deprivation. The whole chariot just grinds to a halt in, total rigidity. So it's about directing desires, not just denying them.
I think that's a common misunderstanding, isn't it? That temperance is just this harsh strictness.
It is a total rejection of pleasure. The sources are really clear. True temperance makes sure pleasure serves the soul.
Instead of enslaving it.
Precisely. It's about making sure reason is in charge of emotions and appetites, not the other way around.
So the goal isn't to be miserable. It's to enjoy life's blessings without being, controlled by them. I'm thinking of that line attributed to St. Teresa of Avila, moderation is necessary in all things, except in our love of God. It's about balance.
It is. And to get that balance, the source material gives us these three essential pillars. It says, without them, the whole virtue just implodes.
Okay, so let's get into the operating instructions. What's the first one?
The first pillar is orderliness. This is all about moderating disorder.
Disorder. So like structuring your time, your priorities, your actual physical space.
Yes, exactly. All those sub-virtues they mention, like efficiency and organization. If your life is just chaos, your appetites are going to rush in to fill that void.
That feels like the necessary infrastructure for everything else.
It is. And building on that, the second pillar is discipline. This is about moderating deficiency or weakness.
So, training your will to fight against complacency, against laziness.
Right. Building things like initiative and consistency. And this is where that idea of winning small daily victories comes in. The source says you fight the flies, not just the wolves and bears.
I love that. Discipline isn't just one big heroic act. It's pushing back against those little resistances day in and day out.
It is. And that brings us to the final pillar, self-control. This one is about moderating excess.
The more obvious one, maybe?
Maybe. This is what stops desires from overpowering your reason and, leading to addiction or vice. It keeps pleasure as a servant.
Okay, so to really get this, we have to look at what's on the other side. The source points to two extremes, two vices that lead to impurity.
Right. And one is what you'd expect, intemperance.
That's excess. Overeating, constant entertainment, letting cravings make your decisions for you. Your desires are in charge.
Completely. But the other vice, the one on the opposite end, is really fascinating. It's called insensitivity.
Okay, so this is excessive strictness. The source is saying that someone who starves themselves out of pure rigidity is just as far from virtue as someone who gorges themselves.
That's the argument. Insensitivity is rejecting legitimate, rightly ordered pleasure, denying necessary rest, seeing all physical enjoyment as somehow sinful. It's self-deprivation for its own sake, and it just drains all the joy out of life.
Wow. So it's really about walking this incredibly narrow path between the two.
It is. And what the sources really hammer home is that this path is ultimately about freedom.
How so?
Well, the person who lacks temperance thinks they're free, right? I do what I want, but they're actually a slave to cravings and habits they can't control.
Temperance is the thing that liberates you from that. It lets you master your appetite so they don't master you.
Exactly. And like we said, it's won in those small daily victories. And the source is clear. You can't do it with just willpower. It takes consistent reflection, spiritual practice, real diligence.
It reminds us that the greatest enemy you will face is yourself.
A powerful thought to end on, for sure.
So we want to leave you with this. Where in your life are impulses in the driver's seat instead of reason? What's one small victory you could win today? Maybe putting down your phone, showing measure at a meal, or even just taking a rest. You need to start building that mastery.